Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Wired for Logic. I have today Laxman, who's the CEO of Darshan Consulting Services. Darshan, sorry, I mispronounced
Darshan.
that. Darshan, yeah. And I'll let him introduce himself, and he can kind of give us a little bit of background about what he does and kind of what they do as a company and how they use technology in their day-to-day business.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to have a team with you. My company is Darshan Consulting Services. It was starting 2016 and at end of 16. So I was as an engineer. I was working outside. Nepal is my hometown. I work outside like Australia, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea. So when I did my master's in engineering from Switzerland, so bachelor I did from Nepal, and I've been to Switzerland for the master's course. And I was in ETS and Lausanne EPFL. That's a university in Switzerland. When I did the master's from there, and then when I back in Nepal, that's I did masters 2005 to 7. When I back in end of 7 and starting 2008, I started job outside the Nepal. That's I've been to Australia as a hydropower engineer, and then so I work in Papua New Guinea, a country near to Australia. We call it PNG shortcut, and then I work there as a hydropower engineer. Then after that, I back to Malaysia again. And in Malaysia, we build a project there, dam project as a hydropower engineer. And then I back in home in end of 2016. So then I came back in Nepal as a lots of experience on hydropower. From the very beginning, I'm working in the hydro sector as a consulting. And then when I come back in Nepal, then I started this small company, the learn knowledge, what I work in outside. That's a numerical modeling. Special, my company is doing a numerical modeling. We do a hydraulics. It's a computational fluid dynamics is related to water resource engineering. We do numerical modeling, and that is special for my company. Beside this, we do a general engineering work like a hydropower, especially design, detail, section supervision, and and resources are there to manage. Yeah, these things is the basics from my sides.
Okay, interesting. So I guess in Nepal is hydroelectric, is that a very common type of alternative energy there?
Yeah, Nepal is a good resource in the water. Rivers and streams are well there. Is one of the maybe the Brazil or we are the second. We are the top for the hydropower resources, and especially the country do not have any industry. Like if you see China and India, two big giant countries. Nepal in between India and China, so especially they are producing lots of things. We don't have a lots of industry here. We have two resources for the income. Like one is tourism and another is just the hydro sectors where we can generate the energy, green energy. That is why there's a good business in here, and I'm doing on that sector. These days, there's everybody is looking for a hydro. Initially, there's some solar also there. Now also there's again coming back, but the country is well defined, well known with the water resource. So we are using this small steps. We don't have a blast project, but we are a small cassetting projects in river. We build the hydros.
Nice. Do you guys consult on any other types of alternative energy or just the hydroelectric?
No, we do. That's like we do the like a solar. We are working now, and there's
Okay.
wind is also there, but wind is not really getting done. And there's yeah, there's solar is another one. Besides this, we don't
Nice.
have it. Solar and hydro, two energy sectors are here. Wind is a little bit, and there's this biogas is a very common, very nominal. That's
How do you see in terms of efficiency between something like hydroelectric, the amount of power it can generate versus something like solar?
solar is a in terms of solar, there's is only a daytime. There's a problem with keeping energy because we cannot keep a battery, huge batteries for the night. So the question is, solar is for the daytime, and the hydro is coming like a base load for the day, for the night and the day. So this combination is working now because the river there's always less capacity. Always picking is difficult to manage at the daytime. So you store the water at the river or the reservoir in the hydro. So now it is
Okay.
now the country is not in Nepal only. Everywhere there's a solar and hydro is a combination to each other to manage the load.
So you basically kind of close the dam up a little bit to not let as much water flow through. It ponds up behind. Then in the evening, when the solar output drops off, you open the dam back up again to. Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Do you guys? I know like at my house, I have solar panels on the roof. It's like 37 or something like that. So it generates, I think max generation is like 12 or 13 kilowatt
Kilowatts.
hours. It's a pretty decent amount of production for a house,
Yeah.
but I've got 2 Tesla power walls. What was interesting to me is, I didn't do a whole lot of research at the beginning when I was
Mm-hmm.
first looking at getting the solar, but I wasn't all that impressed initially during my first year of having the solar. Because again, the problem is the solar produces during the day, but it doesn't produce at night.
Yeah.
So during the day, we're not home. So it's producing excess of what we're using because we're not, running the AC at the same temperature and using and all that kind of stuff. So it's producing an excess and it's selling back to the grid at
Yeah.
fractions of what it then costs to buy back from the grid. So the challenge was, how much is this really offsetting our power usage? And what we found is, after doing some more research and discussions, we added 2 Tesla power walls. So having the power walls there, the excess is instead being stored to the power wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the power walls are 100% charged, then the excess is sold back to the grid. So I have 2 full Tesla power walls, continued production for the rest of the day. When it drops off in the evening, it starts siphoning off the power walls until they get down to around 20%. Then it switches back to grid again. So we're only using grid from like midnight to 6 a.m.,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice. Do you guys ever store up either the solar or the hydroelectric power in any kind of battery banks, or how does that work?
No, that's just like a power bank. We got this inverter. That's we have. We usually do that once. Even my room, there's a battery. The inverter is there with a battery charge, and then it can last for 8 hours because I'm working with the computers. So when I running my computers, it cannot be stopped. Even there's a load shedding. There's no power in the grid, so my machine must be running. That's why at least my machines, 3 computers are running. So they at least my battery backup is about 8 hours to last. When there is no light,
Wow.
even it's working. So this
Eight
is
hours. That's a long. How big is the battery capacity on that?
this is in series. That's one battery. That is 3 batteries are there. One battery is like a in 6 grid, I guess. That's 160 ampere. That's I don't know. There's a I'm not really known about the battery powers, but there are 3 batteries in not in parallel, not in series. So that's it lasts for a long time.
Like on the tech side of things, we get battery backups, of course, for like all of our network racks for clients and things like that. And then we also use them for the servers. Typically, those only last, maybe an hour if you're lucky. So you've got to have some pretty big capacity then to get 8 hours out of it. That's fantastic.
Yeah, the question is, if you see I don't know, maybe you are not known about the countries. He said it as when I back in my country, that's in maybe in 2017 or 18, the load shedding was almost maybe 10 to 12 hours a day. So that's we don't have a power during that time. Now is okay because of that industry who is working on IT or the computer sections or whatever this they're doing, they have an inverter or the battery backup at least for 3 4 hours.
Wow. That's incredible. There's so many options when it comes to both power generation and storage that you can work around a lot of the issues with grid outages and things like that if you do the proper preparation. What do you guys see as other alternative forms of energy besides the obvious solar and wind that we talked about? Do you see much in terms of like, I know they can do generation. I don't remember who was piloting it, but they were doing like generation from waves, like
Oh,
basically wave power was generating
there's a
energy.
question.
And then you could
Nepal is
also
a
use,
landlocked. Nepal is a landlocked. We don't have access to the sea. We have only the
right.
rivers. Yeah, we don't have option for that one.
I may have been Japan or China or somebody
Yeah,
was piloting something like that, and it
yeah.
makes sense because obviously the waves are there all the time. It makes sense to harness, what you can. I didn't know if you guys had any foray into any of those other types of alternative technologies. How do you think? I know with I think China had come out with they have some new molten salt reactor. I don't know a whole lot about that, but do you guys ever consult or think about combining the solar and the hydroelectric with something like nuclear, or What are your thoughts on that?
I think that maybe there's a geothermal could be the another option. That's now they are doing like a geothermal in China, or this thing they're doing. Maybe the New Zealand already started for that one, and some sections in Australia as well. But we don't have on that one. So there's country is a little bit not in really good financing. So the question is, cheapest option is either solar or the hydro. They are trying to build it. That's the things in country. So this is a developing, fully developed till now. The political situation always changes here. In a couple of weeks, last week also, that lots of government has been changed in Nepal. Country is not really stable. The development sector is not really moving ahead.
Interesting. And then with speaking of the alternative forms of energy, do you guys see a lot of EVs over there in
Yeah,
Nepal or no?
we have lots of EVs that from last maybe 7 or 8 years, lots of EVs coming from China. Now they're coming from India as well. We don't have our own production on EV, but we're getting the this EVs from China and India, and some from the Korea and Japan as well.
What, like the BYD brand or something along those lines,
Yeah,
right?
this is a famous is the BOID from China.
Yeah. I was watching some videos on there. You don't think about, or here in the US, we don't think about China as being like a huge producer of automotive is EV and things like that. But I was watching a video about the BYD
Huh?
product line, and it's pretty incredible. There's a lot of different models they have, and the build quality from the video. Again, I haven't actually sat in one, so I don't know how it feels
Mhm.
when you're actually driving it or things like that. But the build quality looked really good. So it's
Huh.
incredible to see some good competition. Tesla better watch out because there's other big EV manufacturers coming up. I know
Yeah.
Rivian hasn't done that well. I don't remember if Rivian's based here in the US or not. I like Rivian. Seen some of their vehicles driven in some of them. They seem to be pretty good quality. But besides Rivian and Tesla, I don't think we have any others that are here in the US. And I think BYD is looking to open some kind of showroom or something like that here in the US in the next 1 to 2 years. I did see one on the road the other day, and that was the first one I actually seen in person. So I'm sure they'll start popping up even more. EV just continues to grow, and it makes a lot of sense. I have a hybrid. I have a BMW XM, so it's got about 30 miles of range on the battery, and the rest is gasoline, which is a good. I think it's a good transition vehicle for people that if you get a vehicle that has electric and gas, because it starts to kind of train you to plug the vehicle in and think about charging it and things like that. So you can get a good, if you're short commute to work, 10 to 15 miles there, 10 to 15 miles back, you could probably get to work and back on a full charge most days. And then every once in a while, you're going to have to refill. But most of the time, when I used to have a gas vehicle, I'd have to refill at least once a week, sometimes twice in a week. It just depended on how much driving I was doing. But now with having the hybrid, I can go up to 2 weeks without
Wow.
filling up, which is crazy. And that's
Mhm.
just recharging the 30-mile range battery I have each day. Just get home at night, plug it in, wake up in the morning, unplug it, drive in hybrid mode. It's incredible. It really is. So do you see like battery ranges growing exponentially over the coming years, or what are your thoughts on that in the EV industry?
I think the EV, it's in 2018, I think I was using EV maybe 1.5 year. This BOID, I used that once. During that time, the BOID is giving about 200 kilometers in here. And then the same time, that's my company where I was a consultant, I was given this from the company, that one. And then another was a Kia Shao, that's from the Japanese company from India. And
Hmm.
that is coming about 100 kilometers in one full charge. During that time, it's 2018. That's I'm talking about it. And then that's that's BOID is a 200 kilometers during that time, and later soon come is a 400 kilometers. Now is it about in 400 to 600 is running here. And that's questions here. There's lots of people like this EV, especially BOID and other brand also here, and that's giving about 400 kilometers. Very nice, and then they can charge at home. No need to for the power extra backup for that one. They simply charge. They can recharge. So there's a is a country is a small for the capital. 400 kilometers is enough for 1 week. Sometimes if you're not going very far, so that they are using for it because we need to buy the petrol from because we don't have a fuel here. We have to buy. continue to buy from outside. So the whenever they charge, it charges only this hydro from Nepal. So it is a good on this ones. And this hybrid, there's some cars are here in hybrid, but they are not getting like what you say. That's it's not getting a market for them. But electricity is EV that is getting more and more.
Yep. I had taken my vehicle in to get serviced a week or two ago, and they gave me a loaner that was a all electric loaner. And I was a little nervous at first because, if you don't plan and you catch yourself out driving somewhere and you're down to like 5 or 10%,
Yeah,
you could get yourself in a pickle, right? But I just made sure to charge it every night. I had it for almost 2 weeks. Like that's how long my vehicle was in the shop. And it was initially I was a little concerned about it, but after about 3 or 4 days, it felt very natural just because I already plugged mine in every night. So plugging this one in every night and then I was only using maybe 10 to 20% of the capacity each day when I was driving around, even
hmm
when I was taking longer drives. And after about a week or so, it was like nothing, it just became very natural. I noticed after about, it was close to time I was having to take it back, that the thing I enjoyed the most about it was not having to go to the gas station. It was really nice not having to think about stopping at the gas station and spending that 10 to 15 minutes and the money and then looking at the charging cost. I mean, it charged the whole battery like from whatever 60, 80% all the way up to 100% for like $4. So it's
yeah,
$4 worth of power usage. But if I
yeah,
had to fill up the car, now you're talking 60, $80. So
yeah.
there's a lot of benefit to it. I mean, it
Yeah,
really
the
is
lot
incredible that we can get that much range out of batteries in a vehicle now. So
that's
very,
a
very
good thing.
interesting.
Yeah.
Where do you see like long term, speaking of alternative energy, where do you see technology growing in both the hydroelectric side and on the solar side, like in efficiencies or capacity, storage, all those kinds of things, both in generation capacity, like how much it can generate and the efficiency to which it generates, and then how you store that energy to be able to use it both day and night, depending on whether there's sun, water flow, no water flow, that kind of thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, now there's in my country, this is a very early stage for planning because we are not getting we are solar maybe not much till the days maybe 200 megawatt or something is there in running, but hydro is a major one. But the question is when we have a solar and hydro, so we'll not worry about the storing the energy because when you need to you can only store this easily store the water. So whenever you have excess from the solar you just turn off the turbine. There's a hydro turbine, then use the solar and continuously get the solar from there. If there is a lagging, like what you're saying, that's sometimes is lagging there, then it can be easily fulfilled by the hydros because some of the hydro plants they we design for a spinning reserve plant. So the question is they are already running in partial load. Whenever load imbalance is there, it suddenly fulfills the loads. So from the hydro, you can get those things. So the question is, we only do manage the grid system with the new control system, AI system, the sophisticated things to be done there and you can manage the load centers. I think that's a easy one that is going to be happens. And then the European and the American already done for it. So I think that's we need to do in my country. That's remaining part for my country.
Okay. So the turning on and off of the hydroelectric piece, like closing the dam, opening it back up again, is that something you guys do manually? Is that automated? You do it automated sometimes, sometimes. What does that look like?
No, these days is all that is some plants like a different plants for there. We call spinning reserve, the special plants with they're automated. Whenever the load needs, it's automatically increase the loads. When there is excess, then it will shut down automatically. Now the system is coming automatically. Now maybe there is a less power plant where the manually get operation starts. Like a small units they are do, but the majority of the grid centers they are connected with the grid control system. From the center, they can be controlled wherever the power plant is there. That is a system
Interesting.
already
Okay.
developed. Not fully enhanced in my country, some power plants now somewhere still that's using. Even I am owner of we have developed one small 7 megawatts project from last running from last 2 years. We have one system that's a this is a operating also managed by manually, but is a grid control. They come the signals, then it will be done.
Interesting. So then beyond the solar and the hydroelectric, what other types of energy do you guys rely on there in Nepal?
There's the another for the for this fuel for the that's we are get petroleum LNG that's from the car from those things for the cooking and this we use the gas that's a LNG this gas liquid gas that will coming on the pallet that will be for the kitchen. Otherwise it's for the power now is for the light and everything is hydro and solar. Yeah,
Okay.
this much.
Are you guys pretty like energy conscious in terms of efficiency? I know it was a little bit of a shift for us when we first traveled overseas. We went to Greece and then to also to Germany. And we noticed both of those countries seem to be very conscious about how much power is being used. Like you leave the room, you have to take your room key because you need your room key to then get back in the room, but taking the room key shuts the AC off. And so us Americans, we just run the AC all day long like it's nothing, and they're
So
like, "Oh,
I
yeah, if you're
think
not in your room, your AC is not running. So you got to get back in your room, put the key back in, starts the AC again." Are you guys pretty energy conscious over there as well, like making sure you're not running it when you're not home and all those kinds of things?
yeah, you can say that's maybe I'll say the 60% off your comments true.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a but in US also there's a maybe the US I've been to there in 2014 maybe 1 month I was to travel in US. I was driving the car myself in there, so it's very nice. That's but the I didn't see any difference. Like whatever we do in here, they're almost the same for me. I mean,
Yeah, it's interesting. I think if the United States took the same approach as some of these other countries with conservation of energy, I mean, we could probably reduce our energy usage easily 20, 30% with just doing small things like that, like in the hotel rooms having those kind of card readers where when you leave the room, you take your card with you, it shuts the AC off. Because
yeah.
a lot of times people go into these hotel rooms and they set the AC. I mean, I'm guilty of this. They set the AC to like, 68 or 70, and
Mm-hmm.
the thing's just running like 24/7 trying to keep up. Like if you're down in Florida or something like that, you want it
Mm-hmm.
nice and cool and reduce the humidity in the room. Things running like constantly 24/7. You think about, 30, 40 hotel rooms in one of these normal hotels, and all
Yeah,
those ACs are probably running constantly, just draining
very
energy
yeah.
just like nonstop. And that's got to come from somewhere. So it
I
just
think that's it.
wonder if we were more efficient on our usage or more conscious about it, how much that would affect our overall consumption of electricity. As you guys get more EVs in your country, what's your capacity to grow like your solar or your hydroelectric output to keep up with the demand? Because that's a lot of people in the US, they're concerned we don't need more EVs because more EVs, that means more power usage, and then it's going to more drain on the electrical grid, and there's always an excuse why they don't want more EVs. What are your concerns there in Nepal, like regarding EVs? If you guys get a ton more, what's that look like on the grid? How does your grid handle heavy usages like during summer months and things like that? What does that look like?
The question is like in here we don't have this petroleum country, so the question is more EVs better for the country because you need to buy this petroleum that gas, petrol, diesel from outside. So the question is when you have EV, that's you are generating hydro by yourself. So that's why we prefer for the EV. Fundamentally, there is no question on it. So only the issue could be that's a disposable this battery, where to decompose and where to put at the end. But and if the countries manage wherever the EV is coming, they need to return back this battery after maybe 5 years, 3 years, come back to their own for recycling or disposing there. Then it will be EV will be much better for us.
Okay. So do you have any concerns about uh, the charging, the draw that the charging takes from the grid or anything like that? No?
I think these days it's okay because I don't know. It's even BID. These are all the guys coming. You can simply charge with a 16 ampere charger at the home. Just in the parking, you have a car, then you charge and come back, and maybe minimum that's coming about 400 kilometers. So what else you do? That's fine for me.
Do you guys have chargers at a lot of like public spaces, like parking lots of like stores and hotels and all that stuff? It's a pretty common?
Yeah. From last maybe not before 3 years, maybe last 1.5 years, lots of enhancement has been done on it. And
Okay.
now this EV car supplier, they're giving one pockets like a combo box you can just install in your home. If you have 16 ampere of power supply, then you can recharge at home. It's charging home maybe the 6-7 hours, but in fast charging maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes, whatever things. In home maybe
Yeah.
8 hours. That's fine.
I remember when I first before I had the XM, I had an X5e, which is a hybrid, very similar setup where it's got the 30-mile range battery and the gasoline. When I had my regular 120 volt charger, it would take it was like 10 or 12 hours
Uh-huh.
to charge the battery up. It'd take forever. And I upgraded that to a charge point, which is on the 240 volt system. And that
Yeah,
thing charges the entire battery in like 2 to 4 hours.
2 to 4
It's
hours. Yeah.
crazy the difference in the chargers that you guys typically have in the home. I don't know what's the electrical standard over there in Nepal. Are you guys on like a 120, 240? What does that look
Yes,
like?
120 to 40. Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, that's a 120 to 40. That's a 12 volts. Is same. Yeah.
Okay. So that's probably why it takes most of the night to charge on a
Yeah.
regular. Okay. Interesting.
How is the market in Tesla in US?
Say one more time.
The Tesla, the market of the EV, that's how is getting this, giving more discounts or new markets coming by the Tesla is to compete with the BYD, going to the Europe, is a losing market in Europe, Tesla, am I right?
I believe so. Yeah. I know. I think they've removed some of the EV mandates and some of the incentives here in the US, but I think because there's been such a trend towards EV,
Mm-hmm.
even a lot of the big US manufacturers have started creating EV variants of some
Mm-hmm.
of their popular vehicles. I know Cadillac has a couple. I think there's like an EV Escalade. There's
Uh-huh.
a EV Hummer. There's some other Cadillac sedan, I think, that has an EV version. Ford has the EV, the
Ford has EV.
F-150 Lightning. It's a very popular truck. I see a lot of those. I like how they do a little nuanced difference, like on the front grille. The F-150 Lightning has that little light bar right underneath the front hood. And so you can tell it's an EV Lightning as opposed to like a regular Ford. But yeah, I continue to see the trend towards more EV, and it makes a lot of sense. You know, it makes a lot of sense from an economics perspective as me, the driver, the owner of the vehicle. Repair costs. I mean, I think about if I wouldn't have gotten like a warranty and maintenance package on some of these vehicles that I've had, oil changes. I know you got to change brakes and everything on an EV too, but like oil changes, other fluid changes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more fluids on a non-EV than there are on an EV. I'm sure there's still some fluids on an EV, but
Yeah.
less. So that the ongoing recurring maintenance, with the exception of the replacement of like a battery pack or something like that, is
Mm-hmm.
significantly less. And I think probably the number of miles, like the total mileage you get out of a battery pack, is probably more than you would get or expect out of an engine before major repairs. I'd have to do a cost comparison, but I think your overall total cost of ownership is typically less with an EV. And then you take into account the refueling. So recharging an EV versus the cost of fuel for a normal gasoline engine, there's a lot to like
It's,
about an EV. I mean,
yeah.
with or without incentives. So even if they're not giving incentives out at the dealership or rebate checks from the government, there's still a lot of incentive to own an EV. So I think there's going to continue to be a
Dep-
trend. I think you're going to start seeing more gas stations get charging stations at the gas station, which makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of gas companies. I've never understood this up to this point, but I feel like a lot of these gas companies should transition more into energy companies as a whole,
Yeah, yeah.
because you see these consumer trends. Ultimately, the consumers drive the market, because as more consumers buy EVs, there's more of a trend towards EVs, less gasoline usage. So over time, you see a shift. You
Mm-hmm.
think about other major industries that have seen large shifts like that. Think about like the video rentals, like Blockbuster. Back in the day, Blockbuster used to be a huge powerhouse when
Mm-hmm.
it came to video rental. Blockbuster's not even around anymore. So the consumer
You
started
change.
liking the idea of being able to go rent, like through the mail, a DVD, and that's where Netflix started. You know, they mail the DVD out. Blockbuster, just like they laughed at Netflix, like, aha, what a joke. Like, nobody's going to want to do that. And next thing you know, Netflix is exploding and Blockbuster is trending down, and now they're non existent. And you have Netflix as a powerhouse, and to the point that they're making their own movies, they're making their own shows, like original series and everything. So you really have to watch the consumer trend. And as you see something trending in one direction or another, you really need to get on the train. Otherwise, you're going to get left in the dust. So these energy companies or these gas and oil companies should really be looking at how can we continue to make money off our oil and gas, but also start adding additional profit centers through solar, wind, energy storage. Why
Hmm.
not help add capacity to the grid through solar and energy storage, or hydroelectric and energy storage? That way, when there's grid outages and during peak times, you can easily pull off that reserve storage without having to. Because I know there's complications with some of the energy production plants that run off of like natural gas or other forms of energy to ramp that up or down during peak usage times. You can't just flip a switch like, oh, give me more capacity. It doesn't work like that. It's to have that at your fingertips to be able to draw on that reserve storage, just like I do at my house when there's a power outage, but on a much larger scale. So just it makes sense to continue to grow the hydroelectric, continue to grow the solar, and then find a way to store that or augment our existing capacity that we have with those other forms of energy.
Yep.
They're there to be tapped into. They're natural resources, so might as well leverage that. Where do you see technology in your industry as a whole going over the next 5 or 10 years?
I think everything is going to be AI and machinized. Machinery will be not like a labor machines, but it will be a automatic control system will be there and everywhere. That is coming, and maybe that will be cheaper for all the industry, like a manufacturing or farming or this building or assembling, whatever the machine industry is going to be happening there. The main will have a human resource will be less, but maybe in majority they will be controlling lots of things. One people can control many things. Oh, that could happen in next 5 years. Maybe there will be a big gap in developed countries compared to developing countries. Developing countries not getting themselves, they're not able to raising all the technologies, and then maybe developed countries very far. There will be gap. That could happen. Otherwise, this now the change is like a almost if financing is easy in the country, then the economic growth is increasing. All the countries moving in positive direction. So always this technology is helping them, even for simply building house to make a building an industry or whatever thing is going happening now.
Do
Even in things consulting business, likewise, I'm doing a consulting because of this AI or this electronics communications. I'm doing the work from like sitting from Nepal. Now I'm doing some job in Bhutan, some in Indonesia, some in Malaysia. That's what I'm doing. Even I have a consultant here. Is not moving there physically, but I'm working for them. So those things will be like is a broader home will be there. Even there's a boundaries, countries boundary will be there for the people. It is a broader home. It's all like a globe. There will be home for the people working for anybody's here. There's no boundary for the technology and the knowledge. Only the boundaries will limit it for the physical work, I guess. That will happen.
Interesting. How much AI do you use in your day-to-day work now? Like not personal stuff, but like your actual work side of things. Do you use a lot of AI currently?
Now this AI maybe this in my industry like a design and drafting, we use the computer CAD drawings. Those automated coming up now. There's building BIM. There's a compact things coming up, and then yeah, other things not fast. That's the only way I do some numerical modeling simulations of some structures in computers. We do that ones. Yeah, that's the things.
Do you use AI a lot in your on the personal side of things? Like do you use it for researching or just
Yeah,
learning
there's
more about subjects or
some
anything like that?
some literature research, like when we're producing a report or looking some new design concept or changes a problem coming, we know for to find this ones, we use AI these days. Yeah, we use this ones.
It's interesting how AI is changing a lot of different industries. Was watching a video the other day about how it's changing search, how people search on the web. Now, before you go to Google and you'd be like, say, for example, you needed to build a pool or like a pergola in your backyard. So you go to Google and you're like, pool companies near me. And it gives you a list of local pool companies you can reach out to. So doing your due diligence, you start researching the reviews, you look at the
Yep.
websites, you figure out all that stuff, right? And that you go down the rabbit hole and you're spending hours and hours and hours researching all that stuff.
Yeah.
you finally narrow it down to maybe 3 or 4 potential vendors that you're going to go with, and then you reach out to them, you probably call, get quotes, things like that, have them come over and look at your
Yeah.
backyard. Now with something like Chat GPT, you can go in there and say, I own a home in such and such area. I'm looking to build a pool in the backyard. I'm looking for some solid recommendations of 3 different companies in my local area that can perform this work. And then in a matter of seconds,
It will give
spits
the list
out,
the companies.
yep, these are the 3 companies. This is why I would pick each one of these companies. These are the pluses and minuses. They've got, each one has X number of, 5-star reviews, blah, blah, blah. Gives you the whole rundown, executive summary
Yeah.
in minutes or
In a minute. Yeah.
seconds
Yeah.
versus like what it would take us, hours and hours to do. So the efficiency is just incredible. And to see where that's going to go in the next couple of years is mind blowing.
That's
So,
happening. That's increasing here.
yep. Do you ever think that, I was talking with our sales guy earlier this morning. We have a bid that we need to put in on a local municipality for some IT support. And I
Mm-hmm.
was working on getting that finalized for him. And I called him this morning to get some specifics. And he said, oh, I just went ahead and fed a bunch of the quotes that you had sent me on recent jobs we had bid on, fed them all into AI and had it come up with a proposal based on the numbers for this particular job. And I was like, that's fantastic. How do you see it being used in your industry to do, like, do you think it could ultimately do drafting on its own to some extent, or write proposals on its own to some extent? Or how do you see it helping you over the coming, 5 or 10 years?
Well, I think so the majority will be the report writing and checking options of this what you choose. Like we are doing this like a designing for like a especially when we do this river modeling, we can say that how safe is the river, what is the cases that happen. Then this can be easily can be like a we are Himalayan region. So what are the similar case happen in other structures? Maybe last 10 years, 5 years. What are the records there? That we can see these literatures online. You can get easily that oh this times happen. There's a landslide coming up. There's a Gulf is there. Maybe some other earthquake reason is there. So those things will be idea for you. Then whatever the new concept you want to design. Now this you consider that say we are the consultant. The client already gets some idea about it. They already have like a 10 minutes or maybe the 1 week time they reach us through. So who is the consultant? I can hire for them. So they will come to us. So this is the things happening. So indirectly, this everybody is cross-checking with each other for this competency, their availability, how they confidence on work, how there's a capability. They're checking by their experience. So the questions, what do I have doing in consulting? The client also doing the same thing for choosing me. So this is I think this is because of the AI. It's become much easier for them.
Where do you guys get a lot of your consulting leads? Like, do you guys have to go out there and look for that? Do you advertise on the internet? Like, how do you get your new clients and consulting gigs?
So there's this is a water resource that this is more physically. Civil engineering is like a more physical. Considering that infrastructure development, we are building a dam building, river training, the powerhouse or intake or those things. Building is a physically oriented. So the question is, when there is invitation coming from the clients, so when they come like we are a potential consultant for them, they will list us. Then they will ask us to propose proposal to put the proposal on their requirements. So when we select it or when they choose us, then we need to go the sites. Okay, sometimes we go by chopper, sometimes we're walking, and sometimes it's very close. We can drive our car, or maybe we book the car. So that's the things. And for the office item now, the changes is happening. That's it. For example, one people living my project in a very foreign side, maybe the west side, and my people maybe the east side of the country. So the question is, they can remotely help for me, like a experienced people. We need to mobilize the junior people at the site. They need to bring the basic data, basic things, and the basic survey will be there. And based on this one, the senior people will sit together at the office, sometime remotely, or sometime in close office. Then we'll find the solutions and again, when we have got some idea, again, this drawing will be ready, some concept will be ready, and the another people will go to the site to verify whether our concept is okay or not, and then it is valid, then it will go ahead. So this is the procedure for us.
So how do you find out about these clients, or how do you connect with these clients of yours? Like, what are you using to get your foot in the door?
Yeah, that's a if the small investor is coming, private consultant, we have a web page. They come through the web page and they come to contact by our web page, whatever like a AI they search for. Okay. If the government entity is looking for, there's a government entity will there is a web page, they will produce this they will announce the notice on their web page, then our team will find out, then they will search for it and they'll put the proposal there, and this is the procedures. And there will be talk with the consulting companies, maybe one project, maybe 10, 15 consultant will be there in terms of
Do you guys
company.
get a lot of referrals from your past clients? Like your past client refers you to another project?
Yeah, usually that is happening to me.
Good. That's great for us too. I mean, we have a lot of clients that'll give us, word of mouth referrals like, oh, hey, you work with one business owner and they say, hey, you should talk to so and so that owns this other company over here. They're having technology problems, and we go talk to them and try to help them solve their issues, give them better technology and problem solve what they're running into on a daily basis to kind of help eliminate some of those issues. Have you ever had to come into a project midstream because the other person that was doing your work before you came into it did not know what they were doing or got fired by the client? Have you ever had that situation?
No, that's yeah. What happens to me because I work as a abroad as well. So my special is in Nepal. We do a numerical modeling. That is called like a not a physical. In physical modeling, they build a small dam in laboratory. They test for the water and just they do in this in laboratory. For in my Nepal, I'm only one person. My only one company do the numerical modeling. We do the computer numerical simulations. So this is one of the benefits that everybody's come to me because in terms of cost, numerical modeling is cheaper than the physical modeling, and it will time saving also there. So because of these tools, people comes to in my consulting firm. So that's what we are doing for the numerical modeling. That is one different access to me. That the question is, I use the software from US. That's a Flow Science in US. They developed the software Flow 3D, and I think that's I'm in Nepal. I'm doing the only one guy in Nepal that's professionally I working on based on that softwares. Yeah, that's I learned from the company. That's ISMEC. That's a earlier company. When I was in Malaysia, I was learn on those tools, and from then onwards and come back, and that's I use the same tools and open. Especially initially, I was not thinking to open a consulting firm like what we have today. Initially, that's when I come back in Nepal. There's one company, one project that's about 100 megawatt project which is running now. They don't have a budget for doing physical modeling. They come to me for numerical modeling. So I did the numerical modeling project in built now is running. So during that time, I just get a one-man job for that one. So that's for the payment on those things, they need the company. Not only individual people can it be. So then after my company has been registered, then slowly I get from that company refer, the project refer, the people refer to me, and slowly I'm surviving till now.
Nice. What software do you use?
Because the Flow 3D.
Flow 3D. Okay. I haven't heard of that before. I'm familiar with some of the Autodesk. I don't,
Yeah,
is it an Autodesk product?
yeah, Autodesk is a AutoCAD, BricsCAD, ZCAD. That's a lots of tool is a CAD. That's a computer-aided design. We do the computer drawings. This Autodesk is one of them. The major one is there. There is another is a BricsCAD is there. Another company. There's lots of things are there. So they are the basic tools to prepare the drawings.
3D?
Yeah. Then before doing on the Flow 3D, we need to produce some 3D images. 3D like a 3D printers you have, something like in a virtual 3D, we prepare 3D objects. Then this 3D object will be used for the Flow 3D.
Okay. My dad actually used to be an architect back in the day, so I have some familiarity with AutoCAD because that's what he used to use. So I say back in the day, I'm talking about like mid 90s.
Mid
That's when he got
90s.
started in computer aided design. So back when you had to still build your own computer. And so
Uh-huh.
I'd watch him build his own computer, and it fascinated me. So that's how I got into the tech industry and started doing, custom computers for some of his colleagues and things like that. And I load up DOS and get their AutoCAD installed, and you had to do a bunch of
Yeah.
tweaks to the AutoExec bat and config sys to get enough RAM to get AutoCAD to even start. And, oh, what a
Yeah.
fiasco back then. So people complain today about computers. They have no idea what a nightmare
Uh-huh.
it was working with them back then. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
We're
that's
coming up on our time. I wanted to see if you had any closing thoughts about current and future advancements in either technology, AI, or anything else you'd like to add to the conversation before we wrap it up.
I think this is improving every day. So every day is coming up with new tools on that one. So every day is new things coming. So it will surprise every day, every week. There's new things coming up on the social media. You see about it, there's lots of things creating very easily these days. So it's a like a competitor with some peoples now for the AI. This give me lots of things. Beside this, there's a knowledge and experience for the technical things like a medical or engineering. I think is it not possible to oversight by the AI? So it will still be there like a experience gained by the peoples, and that's if there's physical things are there like a medical science peoples, and then maybe some part will still will be there. So there will be always enhancement by AI. For now, you don't need to go to doctors. If you can put the things, then you can become lots of with the medications, and the solution will come. But the question is, you will have 100 solution there. You don't know again which one you need to refer for it. So those things will be judgment will be still there. Even we have most advanced AI tools are there. So it will be there. Some limitation will be there.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm excited to see what AI offers in the future and where it takes us.
Yeah.
Seeing all the different platforms that are being developed, the different large language models, and everything else is just fascinating. We live in
Yeah.
exciting times.
In terms of the language report and the preparing report or the communications, AI is much faster than what we thought about it.
Yep.
In every day changing it.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, it's incredible. So, well, I wanted to say I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for sharing everything with the audience, and I look forward to potential future conversations.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very pleased to share my experience, and very nice to talk with you. Then sir, it's very nice, and that's maybe changing the experience in US and Nepal. This is a better next time
Yes,
it's
sir.
coming would you talk. I will be ready to help or ready to discuss.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day.
Yes, thank you very much.